to another video. In today's video I'm actually going to be doing a book recommendations video because I have quite a collection now and I wanted to share some of the books that have really helped me, and these are not all of them, this is just a few I've picked, even though it's ended up being quite a lot of books. So this could end up being quite a long video. I just wanted to share different types of books you can use for reference and inspiration, because I don't actually own any of Art of books. You know, you can get like the Art of Overwatch or the Art of movies. I still think they're great and they're good for seeing how the process of the film and everything, but sometimes they're a bit limited to what they show, as they just show that one specific type of thing. They're still good books, but I don't own any. I don't find them quite helpful for me. I find it helpful to have a diverse range of books, from like field guides to anatomy magazines, all that type of thing. But obviously I'm not putting them down, they're still great books and a lot of time and care go into the Art of books. But I still buy artist sketchbooks from conventions, and I've obviously got Loisha's book, which is very good. I love seeing like the process behind a specific artist's work. So let's move forward with this book recommendations video. The first one is the Anatomy Essentials, and I think this is done by ImagineFX. I think, I could be wrong. I'm sorry, there's like a little bit of glare. This is a very good book, it covers quite a lot of things. I think this has probably been in quite a few recommendations. Obviously it's got the foundations and the fundamentals of drawing anatomy. They've got animals, they've got humans, poses, clothes, and it's very good at breaking down the shapes of anatomy so it's easier to remember the shapes in your mind. So a very good book overall. The next one is actually a fashion illustration book, and I absolutely love this. This was about £3 from the works and I had to grab it because this is just absolutely gorgeous. It is by Anna Kipper, I think. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But it's got stuff about drawing like the fashion model, the proportions, it's got some really nice techniques in there. And what I love is how she renders the fabric, and she shows how she renders it, and there's also close-up details of like shoes and hands and all accessories that go with clothes. And I understand that probably not a lot of you are into fashion, but this is so helpful for character illustrations and designing outfits for characters, like this for example, the creases, the details in the clothes. And it goes into sport fashion, warm fashion, extravagant fashion. So I would really recommend picking this up. There we go, there's something about fabric rendering. So I would really recommend this, even if you're not into fashion. If you do characters, if you do character illustrations, even if you do video game design, you always want to be dressing up your characters in clothes that suit them. So this is a great book and I really like it, and I would definitely recommend. So the next one, about the ones I've been showing are mostly how to draw books. The next ones are more like reference book, but this is the last drawing book. This was How to Draw Animals by Charles Liedl. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but I'm sure you'll recognise the cover. This is a very good book on drawing animals. It provides lots of reference from the muscles to the bones, and it covers quite a diverse range of different animals. So owls, birds, dogs, cats, domestic animals, wild animals. It is just a really gorgeous book because I love seeing all these sketchy drawings. I think these are really lovely. It's even got like the movement of animals, which is very good if you're an animator, as it's really great for reference. Again, it was quite cheap off Amazon. It's only a small thin book, so it should fit in a bookcase very easily, especially if you have a lot of books. So definitely this one, this is very good. So the next couple of books are actually children's books, and I know a lot of people actually do want to be children's books illustrators. So one I really love and I would really suggest is Edna O'Brien's The Dazzle. Now I'll show you the illustrations that I really like. I've had this book for a very long time, but I've just noticed now the actual illustrations and how pretty they are. So let me find it. This is the one. Hopefully there's not too much glare. So if you're interested in doing backgrounds or just children's book illustrations in general, this is such a beautiful book. You can see how much detail there is in the picture, and even interestingly that some of the objects in the picture are actually coming out of the frame. So this is such a beautiful book. If you can, that you pick it up, especially if you're interested in this type of thing. I think that's probably my favourite illustration in it. Good perspective. So yeah, I really like this book. It's one I've had from my childhood and I've kept it all this time. Another one is The Church Mouse. Again, this has got some really beautiful illustrations, and I think they're done traditionally. So these are actually quite old. This was my sister's. So again, those buildings just look so good. Hold on, I'm sure I have a couple of favourites in here as well. And I just like the way it's displayed with all these little pictures going in a sequence. Again, look at that. That's just a really beautiful illustration. So yes, definitely suggest this one. If you can find it, I'm not sure how hard these are to find because they are quite old. Hopefully you should be able to find it. And then this is one I actually picked up recently because I just loved the illustrations in this. What I really like about this is the way that leaves and berries are done and all organic materials. And again, it's just really cute and really lovely. And look at this is just so much detail. It's absolutely stunning. It's really gorgeous. So again, I just suggest looking at children's illustration, especially if you're into doing big illustrations yourself. There's always something you can find in these books because they are just absolutely visually stunning. So yes, this is really gorgeous. This is the Bramley Hedge series and it's by Jill Bartlen. So the next topic of books are what I use a lot for reference and finding inspiration. If you're into fantasy and drawing swords and knights, I really recommend this one. This is Swords by Ben Booth. And this is great if you're into weapon design, if you're doing like comics or video games. It's great for inspiration as it has all these different weapons from different cultures. And it's just really nicely presented. I'm sorry, it's a bit cropped out. This is quite a big book, so it's even got like ninjas and what they used. Some of these might not be quite accurate, but I feel like they are quite spot on. So again, a really great reference if you're into drawing swords and fantasy and all that type of thing. So again, a really great book. And if you can find it, I would definitely recommend picking it up. I actually got this for £7, and again I think it was from the Works, so it was definitely worth it because I am into fantasy and all that type of stuff. And again, talking about reference and what type of drawings you were into, I found these at the charity shop. This was about £2, that was about £1.50. And always think about what you want to be drawing. Do you like drawing birds? Do you like drawing plants and botanical illustrations? Maybe you're really into drawing mermaids and you like to add some backgrounds to those cute mermaid pictures I see. But this one is really lovely. So again, I won't go too much into these as I just wanted to quickly show them. So again, if you're into animals and botanical drawings, this is a really lovely book to pick up. Again, you can find these books at charity shops really cheap. You know, they're more of an old type field guide book. I used a lot of these in my home education. And again, you know, you got sea creatures, you've got like the kelp and the coral reefs, and this is just really good if you just want to practice on more backgrounds again and adding elements to the background that make it interesting. So again, just look through your charity shops or your second-hand book and you'll probably find some really good bargains. So if you're really into botanical illustration, which I notice a lot of people are, this is a really good book. This is Botanicum by Katie Scott and Kathy Willis. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. This is actually, I think, done for the Kew Gardens in London. Again, it's like a massive book, so it's not quite fitting in the camera. It's nice and big with these quite detailed illustrations. and it does provide some really good inspiration for interesting background elements in your pictures. And of course there's lots of cool facts about plants and trees. However, that might not be quite for you, so I really recommend this one. This is the Illustrated Flora of Britain and Northern Europe. Obviously there's different plants for different places, but this is a really gorgeous one that I found online. I think it was about £3 on Amazon, and it just goes to every possible flower you can think of, from succulents to weeds, everything really, and it does provide some really nice colour plate illustrations. This is really good if you're interested in doing, you know, nature backgrounds, or you're interested in adding botanical elements to your drawings. I notice there's kind of a theme of drawing girls with flowers. I'm guilty of doing that too. And I just find this so good for reference. There's just so many flowers. It's such a beautiful book. And again, it was so cheap, like £3. You might be able to find it on Amazon. You might have to pay some shipping. Again, I think I only paid like £2 shipping. So £5 overall, but when you think you are getting a very good big reference book, it is full of colour plate illustrations. It's kind of like a really good bargain. And of course those illustrations, they're just so gorgeous. Even if you're not into botanical illustration, this is just a gorgeous book to look through. And of course, on the topic of field guides, if you're wanting something more specific, say you're really interested in doing trees again for backgrounds, this is a really lovely little book. And it shows you the trees and what flowers and fruits grow on them, which I thought was really interesting. And again, you've got all these lovely colour plate illustrations. So these are actually a concise guide in colour, so you should be able to find these online. Again, I think they were only like a penny. These are a penny on Amazon. And you just pay £2 shipping, so again, you're getting a really good bargain. Obviously, it might be under a different name, so if you can find this cover, then you've probably found the right book. But yes, just a really lovely little one. And obviously, I have a flower one. It's got a beautiful flower on the back. It goes through all the flowers. And just a very good reference overall. I have another one of these. It's actually cacti and succulents, but I thought I wouldn't show all my books because we'd be here for a long time. So the next two suggestions might be a little bit weird, but I really suggest picking up an interior decorating book, and it can be on any style that you like. I particularly like Bohemian style because there's a lot of patterns and colours. But the reason I really suggest this is if you want to do backgrounds and interiors, you're obviously, if you're doing comics, you're going to come up to scenes where there are interiors. But again, it depends on your comic, but I would still recommend picking a book up, because what you can see is actually how a room is laid out and what furniture looks good in a room. You can also see how perspective works and how the patterns interact with each other. This one I really like, actually. It's one of my favourites. And you can see what kind of ornaments and details go into a room. An interior is not just a plain box with white walls. Think about the characters that live there. What are their tastes? Are they going to have loads of stuff on the room? Or do they like it nice and plain? But I do really suggest picking up a interior design book. It's just so helpful with perspective and pattern and everything, and you can really learn something about drawing all these patterns that clash with each other. It's very interesting to see how it all interacts in a room. There's a particular one I'm looking for, and again, you don't have to buy this book specifically. It could be on any style you like. Hold on, I'm trying to find a kitchen picture that I really like. There we go. This is one of the kitchens that I love, because you can see how the colours look good with each other, like the wood with that dark brown and white wall looks really nice together. And again, sometimes you forget what goes in a kitchen. You can see that there are pots, there are pans, there's little spice jars, there's cutlery boxes, there's plants growing on the side. There's obviously stuff where you store food, and these are the things sometimes that you can forget to put in an interior room. Because what you really want to do is you want to build up your visual library in your mind. So eventually you won't have to rely so much on reference, but it's always good to keep looking. So that one is a really cool one. Again, just buy whatever interior style you like. And again, botanical style, because obviously I love plants, I love flowers, and I love seeing them integrated into a home. So again, you can pick the colours, you can pick the patterns. Obviously, what I like to do is I actually like to use this perspective and change it up with what might be in the picture. So I plan to do like a market stall, and this would be a really nice perspective to use as a reference. But obviously don't steal the whole picture, that's not the point. It's just using it for inspiration and kind of like a guide for your own pictures. So again, there's some really nice colours in here that you could use for your own drawings. Colour palettes and patterns and perspectives. So this is a really lovely one too. This is Botanical Style by Selena Lake, and the other one was called The New Bohemians by Justina Blakeney. I might have pronounced that wrong, I'm really sorry about that. The last of the books is this one. It's called Use Your Loaf. It's a very old baking bread book, and again, I don't know where I found this one, but you should be able to find stuff like this in charity shops. And I will just show you that this is all illustrated with different breads. So you can actually see the textures, you can see what goes on the bread. So you've got like this poppy seed loaf. So again, it's very inspiring if you want to draw food, and again, if you're doing big illustrations, you're doing comics, anything really, you want the food to look appetizing. Actually, my favourite in here is called a carnival loaf. Let's see if I can find it. Pizza, croissants. There we go. Doesn't that just look amazing? And it looks very appetizing. So again, if you're going through charity shops or secondhand books, you know, have a really good look. You'll find some little gems that will give you some real good inspiration, because I think I've drawn quite a lot of the drawings out of here for practice, but it's still really nice to look back on it and see all the illustrations. And so this next section of the video is actually dedicated to my friends' work and people I've met in Comic Village. So obviously if you go to Comic Cons or you go to conventions, always check out the Artist Alley, because there are some amazing artists, as I know, because I've talked to them, I've made friends with them. So I really wanted to show you the indie side of books and sketches and stuff for inspiration. So this one is by, I'm going to find out, this is Penguin Spy, and I'm sure they have a YouTube, but I'm not too sure. And what I will try and do is I will try and leave a link to all of these artists in the description. This is Lilituff. I actually went to a couple of conventions with her. She let me share her table. That's her sketchbook. This is one of her designs that she did with other artists. This is Iella's work. I absolutely adore Iella's drawings. They have such a fantastic style, and obviously their way with watercolour is just so inspiring. I'm really hoping to get their new book soon, because I know they've done like a new book full of all these new watercolour illustrations that they did on the bus, so I'm really excited about that. And obviously they had a dragons sketchbook, which I had to pick up because I love dragons. These are comics by Fungi Arts. You can find them on Twitter. I absolutely love this comic. This is a very good comic. It is very fun and enjoyable, and I'm really glad I got to pick up these 2 copies. A very good style. I need to pick up the 3rd one very soon, but again, a really good series and very enjoyable with a really cute, fun art style. These next ones are by Jess Arts, and I'm sure I've shown these before, but I'm going to show them again because they're absolutely stunning. Jess has a very, very gorgeous graphic style. So this is the comic Arrowborn. I think this is actually being continued soon, so that will be very exciting to see. And obviously this is their sketchbook, full of good things. I'm not sure you can get this online, but I'll have to check. Again, I'm going to try and leave all the links to their art Twitters and art accounts, so hopefully you should be able to find their shops from there. This is the Genera sign. I'm sure I've talked about this before, but again, it's just one of those that is so gorgeous. Such a fantastic painterly style. I love it so much. And there's all concept art in the back, which is just, again, it's like eye candy. I'm sure you'll recognise this. This is Rebecca Blackwell. She's also on YouTube, and I'm so glad I got to pick up one of her sketchbooks. So again, I would really recommend. And obviously she's a YouTube friend, so, you know, gotta shout out to the other YouTubers. This is one I got recently. This is Reflorescence, a blooming flower sign, and I'm sorry, I probably pronounced that really wrong. But this is one I got recently, and it is such a gorgeous little book. I would highly recommend this one. I just love how the hands are drawn interacting with the flowers, and there are so many gorgeous pictures in here that I just, it's such eye candy. I love it so much. So I'm really glad I was able to pick this up. And again, I will try and leave a link in the description. The next ones are from Tricky Wagon, and they are definitely on YouTube because I am subscribed to them. So definitely go have a look at their channel. Their channel is called Tricky Wagon, and these are their sketchbooks. And again, very inspiring. I love the watercolour and pen. But again, I don't want to show too much because I don't want to spoil it. So I really highly recommend that you pick these up and show some support for these artists because they are super inspiring and they've just all got such great styles. So again, I absolutely love this drawing. I really like that pen and watercolour. Again, don't want to show too much. And lastly is actually by Harry Draws. Harry Draws has some amazing work. I've got a lot of their prints up in my room, but this is called The Way I See It, and it's kind of like their little sketch book that they did travelling. So there's a lot of interesting pieces like this where it's kind of like backgrounds, and again, it's just really gorgeous, and I love this tiny cute little book. It's like nice and pocket sized, and it's just really nice. So that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it wasn't too boring. I've been struggling to put some videos together lately because I have a lot in progress, but none of them are actually finished. But I thought this would be fun to share with you some of the books that have really inspired me through my artistic journey. And obviously I want to help these artists get out there and get them more well known because they are such kind people and they have really inspired me and said such wonderful words to me in regards to my own artwork. But you know, this is just so inspiring and it is truly lovely work by all of these artists. So I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you were able to find some things that hopefully interested you and hopefully inspired you. Because yes, I just thought it'd be fun to share some of the books because I feel these are the types of books that don't get shown a lot on YouTube. It's a lot of the art of books, which again, nothing wrong with that. I just want to show a different side to finding inspirations and resources and reference, because you can find so many unusual books out there. So again, I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye!